What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to the channel. Today, we'll be starting phase 1 of our shed build, which will be the foundation. Took us probably about 4 to 5 days to get this done, but total hours worked was probably about anywhere from 7 to 10 hours. Not really sure exactly how long it took, but it didn't take a whole lot of time once we got everything in motion and got going. This is our first shed build, so it took a little bit longer for us on this DIY project than it would somebody who actually does this every day or does it for a living. So, but yeah, check out the video. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and make sure you let us know in the comments what you think about it. If you have any ideas of a way that we could have maybe done it faster, we could have done it better, whatever you think. Thumbs up, thumbs down, just whatever. Throw it in the comments. Let us know how you feel about it. And once again, we appreciate you guys watching and enjoy. What you saw me doing there with the measuring tape was just making sure that I had the correct distance from the gate there. That's the where the city has the easement. So I had to be at least 5 feet off the gate on the side over there, and then at least 3 feet off the back gate. So what I done was I went 10 feet from the easement gate and 5 feet from the back gate, just to make sure there was plenty of clearance. So if you place your 2x8s or 2x6s or whatever you're using in the square, the general area as to where you're going to be placing your shed, it doesn't have to be, well, I guess it does have to be exactly where you want it, because what I'm doing is I'm marking the distance from the corners there as to where my first block is going to be, my first support block to hold the shed up, because once again, there will not be a foundation on this particular shed. It's going to be a floating shed deck. So what I'm doing is I just got some basic household paint, just some old paint my wife had laying around that she didn't use all of, and I'm using that. You can get landscape paint if you want to do that, or whatever. If you want to spend extra money, that's fine. But if you have something laying around, you can just use that, because all you're doing is just marking the area, the general area, so where you're going to place those tough blocks as you see right here. Just have enough space to put them down and kind of adjust them if you need to do that. So I decided to go with that particular type of support block because, for one, they're really light. As you can see me, I'm carrying multiples at one time and just kind of toss them on the ground. And they're rated to hold probably like around 1,800 pounds a piece, somewhere in that ballpark, 1,500 to 1,800 pounds. You may want to, double check the manufacturer's specs on that to be exact. But yeah, as you can see, I walked around and I had 4 in my hand at one time. So if you use the cement blocks, trust me, you're only going to be able to move one at a time. And those things are really, really heavy, and they support just about the same amount. So why not? And all I'm doing here is just making sure I get the complete square painted, just so I can give myself a little extra distance to dig around. So that's all I'm doing, is just kind of double marking the area. Hey guys, don't forget to call 811 before you start digging. Well, I guess it's 811 everywhere. It is here in Texas, but make sure you call 811 before you start digging. I think the depth is probably somewhere about 16 inches or something like that, 16, 18 inches, but I'm not sure. So you want to call 811 before you start digging. It doesn't cost anything. They'll come out and mark where all the gas lines and different things like that are running under the ground. So it will avoid a lot of money having to be paid out if you hit something and it goes bad. I've seen it done. Fortunately, it wasn't me when it happened, but I was actually on the crew when a guy did dig a little too deep and hit something that he wasn't supposed to. And when I was working for the landscape company I worked for before I started working for myself, and it cost a lot of money to get that squared away. So it can be a headache, man. So that free phone call won't hurt you. Just a bit of advice. Do as you please. Now I'm just going to bring in the flat shovel here just to kind of get the bottom as smooth as possible with the shovel before I place I actually bought pea gravel to put down in there. So support the foundation blocks. So as you can see, I'm using a mallet. I don't have a tamper, so I'm just using a mallet to beat the ground solid, beat it tight down in there, and then I'll place the pea gravel in there, and I'll step down on that myself. I'm probably about 260 pounds, so I can kind of get away with stamping it down myself. You know, some of you guys might not be as fortunate enough to weigh as much as I do, so you'll actually probably need the tamper tool. All right, guys. So as you can see up until this point, I've been a one-man show. So all I'm doing is I'm just going to pick up the perimeter, put a screw in each corner to hold it in place until I get another set of hands. My son's going to come in and give me a hand with the rest of it, kind of moving forward. So that's all I'm doing is just kind of putting it in place. Once again, throwing a screw in there just to kind of hold it steady until I get another set of hands. So what I'll be doing next is measuring from corner to corner to make sure this thing is perfectly square. As you can see, I had to use a piece of tape there to hold one end of the tape measure down. Just a little trick of the trade when you're working by yourself. So now that we got this thing perfectly square, we're gonna take two pieces of scrap wood and screw them in to hold it in place to make sure that thing's not moving around. So while I am waiting on my other set of hands to show up, I will make some cuts just to, get some stuff done instead of just sitting around waiting. I can, get the other boards cut and do a few things that I can still do by myself at this time. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is measure 16 inches from the end and then 16 inches from that point all the way down, putting a small X on the right side of the 16-inch mark, and that's where my stud will go. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, 16 inches, X on the right-hand side. So that way when I put my studs in, they're lined up straight and they're not at a slant because I measured from two different ends. So you wanna make sure you measure from the same end on both sides. All right, so here's a quick view of what it should look like with the 16-inch mark. And if I can actually get this camera adjusted the right way, I'll show you here really quick. So there's the 16-inch mark. There's the X right on the right-hand side. Just remember to do that all the way down and on both sides, and everything should be good to go. So all I'm doing here is just going over, I'm actually taking my square, taking my 16-inch line all the way down and just making it a little bit darker so it's a little bit easier to see. Now it's time to measure out the rest of these boards and get them cut. Now let's get this thing in here, make sure it fits. Perfect. Let's get the rest done. All right, so now I have my second set of hands here. So what we're going to be doing now is just making sure that this thing is perfectly level. So what we're going to do is, once again, use another piece of scrap wood. I have my son pick it up, and I'll put one screw into that board to make sure that it's level from every side. When you're doing this, make sure that the leveling bubble is right in front of your eyes. You don't want to have it too far to the left or too far to the right. You want to have it kind of right in front of you so you make sure you get a accurate read on it. So here's a quick view of it being nice and level. Now it's time to start cutting those 4x4 blocks that will go underneath the beams to support it. Make sure you take your time to measure more than once if you need to get an accurate read. Be sure to double check and even triple check the level to make sure it is still plumb after every block is put in there. And once again, because this is the foundation and it needs to be level, not only needs, has to be level, make sure you double check, triple check all your work. Make sure it's still nice and plumb. It only takes a few minutes to do it, but it definitely save you a headache in the end. Now it's time to remove those supports and make sure it's level once again. Now we'll take some of those scrap pieces, screw it into the 4x4, screw it into the perimeter, and it'll make it all one part of the foundation. Now this part's probably not necessary, but I just wanted to go through and clean out all the grass from underneath and, get it as close to the dirt as I possibly could before I put put the plywood on to, just, I don't even know why I did it, to be perfectly honest with you. I guess it's the gardener landscaper in me. It's not necessary though. All right, today I was able to get my youngest son to come out and help me. So we'll get the rest of these beams in there and see how it comes together. And once again, just another measurement to make sure it's still square. We've been doing a lot of work, a lot of moving parts going on. Just want to double check it before we go too far. So as you probably already noticed that when we're putting these support beams in there, I'm using screws. So they're just 3-inch wood screws. So I'll use those to begin with. And then as you'll see later on, I'll come back and nail it all together. And right here, I'm just going through and adding another screw to each one. So it'll be a total of 2 screws and 3 nails in each one of those beams. Now it's time to add the support brackets. So what you want to do is hammer down the 2 tabs on each side there, and then screw in your T25 1-inch wood screws. Be sure to add those brackets on both sides. Now that we have everything tied down, we started putting the plywood on top, which is 3/4 inch pressure treated. All right, guys, we got the foundation complete. Let us know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and set those notifications for when we start the framing. We appreciate you guys watching. Take care.